Zombie apocalypse.
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So, just by way of introduction, this channel is going to be called 6-Scale Economist. So, essentially, a little bit of background about myself. I started collecting hot toys about a year ago, and while this initially was a hobby, I found that it's a very great way to also make money in the meantime, and it seems just like a product that has a lot of upside and a lot of different toys. You can kind of take positional views on it. A little bit of background about myself. I personally come from finance. I studied finance in college, and I currently work in a finance-oriented career. So naturally, I was drawn to investing and understanding how different markets function. And during the time that I got into hot toys, I'm very, very big Star Wars fan, and so collect a lot of these just as a hobby. I realized that it shows actually a lot of opportunity to make money doing this. And so what this channel is really going to be focused on is analyzing certain hot toys that come out, appreciating them for what they are, and they are an action figure and they are collectibles, but also understanding that a lot of the time is a great opportunity to make money. And if you can have a hobby that is as expensive as collecting hot toys, but also make money to cover that hobby so that you don't have to pay too much expense, I think it's a great opportunity. So the plan for right now is to have some type of weekly upload video where once a week we just dive into what's going on in the hot toys market, which figures are trending up, which figures are trending down, and try and get a gauge on what exactly is happening, so better plan for you to be able to collect more intuitively and be able to make this a hobby that's very self-sustaining, that you can enjoy, but it also enjoy for the fact that can be making money while you're doing it. So just diving right in, the first figure that I want to talk about is Director Krennic. Obviously great figure. I personally, pre-ordered one for myself, obviously for my own collection, but I thought this figure actually presented a really interesting opportunity. So this figure retailed for $235. It was available for pre-order for about, let's just call it a year. So you had a whole year that you could have pre-ordered this figure, no problems. And finally, it came into stock on Sideshow about a month ago, and it sat in stock for probably a week and a half, and then it sold out. Kind of similar to what we saw with the Mudtrooper, and now it's basically, it's very hard to find now. Most of these local shops, whichever spot that you might have, you'll find that a lot of them have already sold out. It's already gone waitlist on Sideshow. And so this figure is just a great example of the potential that you can have when you're collecting hot toys to take directional views on which hot toys you think are going to go up in value and use it as almost an investment for potential growth in money, in addition to just collecting it for your own collection. Now, again, I just want to preface this by saying that I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I'm not a scalper, and I don't do this, and I don't advocate people to scalp. But I think that it's also very important to understand when you're putting this much money into a collection, into a hobby, it's important to understand what you can gain out of it, and to make sure that you're not just throwing away bills at something that's just a hobby. It's not really going to grow or hold its value. So this figure retailed for $235. Let's just go to eBay really quickly. Just Wars Hot Toys Director Krennic. And we'll just go here and we'll just go to sold listings. So this figure already, it's been waitlist for about a week and a half now. This figure is already selling for $300. $312, $275. It's about the $300 range. Now, at this price, this is not something it's not worth your time to just buy this for $230, pay shipping, all in. You're probably looking at $275 if you're ordering from Sideshow to buy this. There's no point in just trying to buy and get a quick flip by any means. Again, that's not what this channel is about. What's important to understand is where this figure can go. Now, Rogue One, as we've seen, is generally the Rogue One figures have done very well. Some of the highest actually the highest. I have a spreadsheet where I've kind of mapped out all of this, and the highest return on any figure, as most of you probably know, is the Short Trooper. The Short Trooper, I believe, retailed for also $235, might have been $242. Rogue One, so it was a spin-off movie, so kind of short printed a little bit, and now is what selling for easily, $600, $650, $700, probably closer to $700 if you get it on eBay, $600 if you find it in a group, and you can get on the lower end. But the Short Trooper is a great example of what is the potential of Rogue One and what these figures can go to. I think the director Krennic is a great combination of two things. One, he's from Rogue One, and two, he is short printed. Given how quickly Sideshow sold out and so many other retailers sold out, and it is a figure that people like from a movie that people like. It's very similar to Grand Moff Tarkin, and I think that this figure is going to perform very similar to how Grand Moff Tarkin did. Grand Moff Tarkin retailed for, I think, $230, somewhere in that range. Now, if you want to get a brand new one, you're going to pay $450 to $500. I think that this figure can very well have that same trajectory, and I wouldn't be surprised if this figure is selling, call it 3 months. This figure is selling for $450. So I think that if you don't have one right now, and you want one, you want one for your own collection, you should buy it now, because this figure is only going to go up, and I wouldn't be surprised, again, like I said, if in 3 months this figure is selling for $450. Moving on, I want to talk about the Mudtrooper. So the Mudtrooper is interesting. Generally, Solo is not the most highly regarded film. It's kind of bifurcated in the community on whether or not some people like it, some people hate it. And so this figure, a lot of people slept on. And I think that the mistake there was that this right here, the fact that you can pose him and have him look like a trooper is something that I think a lot of people value and a lot of people didn't really realize, in combination with how short printed this run was. Again, Hot Toys just probably didn't expect that much of this movie, kind of just made some, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's waitlist. Like, I think within 24 or 48 hours of it being in stock on Shy, so it was waitlist. This one's going to be hard to get. This one, so Toys for Kid Adults and TM Cent, I don't totally regard their prices, because they're very well established eBay accounts, so they can kind of get away with charging a little bit of a higher premium. But this one real price is probably somewhere around $350 already. This figure was in stock on Sideshow 3 weeks ago for $230, and it was up for pre-order for like a year. So this is another good example of a figure that you're going to want to try and get, but unlike Krennic, where I think Krennic is still more available in the secondary market, this one dried up really quickly, and now I think it's going to be very hard to get. If you got one, very lucky. Great for you. I hope that you're buying it for your own collection, that you're going to enjoy it, and you also now have the backstop of knowing that you have a figure that's probably going to go up in price. And some people are saying it might be the next Short Trooper. I don't know if I totally buy that, but I would not be surprised if in 3 months this figure is selling on eBay for $500, just given how great the face sculpt is, the accessories, the weathering, and the fact that you can put that goggles down and put that ventilator on, and then it just looks like just a really cool looking stormtrooper. It's a really cool looking trooper in general. A little teaser for the Minban Trooper. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that this is a great figure, and I think that this is definitely a buy if you can find it now. I think that if you really want it, and I know it sucks, but if you have to pay like $320 right now to buy it because you really want it, I don't think you should beat yourself up too much about it for not being able to get it at retail, because I think if you don't get it now at $320, you're really going to be sad if this thing is selling at $400, $450 in like a month or 2 months, which I think could very well easily and most likely will happen. And the last figure that I just wanted to talk about for this video is one that's really interesting. So this figure is an older figure. I'm sure everybody is aware of what happened with this figure, but it is Side Anakin. Side Anakin retailed for $267. Now is selling on eBay for, I believe, I think now it's pushing 600 to 650. Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah. One sold today for 690. So this figure just clearly has no ceiling. Um, 650, 650. Yeah, this figure's 160. So this one is super, super interesting. And this figure solely is actually the reason why I started looking more into investing with Hot Toys and why I have, really put my foot down and really started to look at a lot of these for investment. And I'll get more into this in future videos, but I have been finding ways to purchase Hot Toys in larger lot sizes because of how convinced I am that these figures, if you look at the historicals and you track all of the data correctly and you notice the patterns with which figures go up in value and which one doesn't, I realize that it is a really great opportunity, and this Anakin is a great example. But the reason why this figure is an anomaly is usually there's a couple of pieces to the puzzle that have to go into place for a Hot Toy to really, have that 200 to 300% increase in price. One of those really important details is the supply side. Now, we've seen with the Mudtrooper, Shore Trooper, these figures, especially the Shore Trooper, he's an example of a figure that probably one of the major reasons why he's selling for so much right now is because of how short printed that run was. But the thing with Anakin is this one sat in stock, and I'm sure many of you already know this, sat in stock on Sideshow for probably a year and a half. So for a year and a half, you could have got this figure at retail, and it just wasn't selling. I mean, it took a year and a half to sell out. That is a very large amount of time for a figure that had this performance. And I think the reason why is, one, people love Anakin. People love this movie. I would say, in general, people have come around to enjoying the prequels more. I personally, myself, I love Episode 3. It's definitely my favorite of the prequels, and it's probably in the top 30% of overall of all Star Wars movies for me. But, it's a great figure. The head sculpt's great. One thing that really helped this figure, both the dark side and the light side, is the announcement of Captain Rex. I think a lot of people realize that they really want to have him, now that Captain Rex is, realistic instead of cartoon. They want to have him pose next to Anakin because I think it would look really good. And so I think that's another reason why this one jumped. But the reason why this one is so puzzling is because the supply puzzle piece was not there, or rather the lack of supply puzzle piece. This figure was supplied. They made a ton of this figure, and a lot of people bought this figure. Myself included. I purchased one. I was lucky enough to get one a couple of months ago. But I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it retail from Sideshow. But I was lucky enough to get one a couple months ago before this whole thing spiked. And I bought this figure brand new. I want to say 3 months ago, and I think I paid $390 for him. And even then, that one kind of hurt. But I knew that I need to buy this now because I can already feel the demand for this figure is growing. And once this figure is sold out, he's not coming back. And the thing about some other figures, like the Death Trooper, for example, if they show up in a new, Star Wars, whether it be a theatrical release or a TV series, you run the risk of there being a reissue, just like we saw with the Death Trooper. He showed up in Mandalorian, and then he got reissued. That's not going to happen with Anakin. When are we going to see Episode 3 Anakin again in any other series? It's just not going to happen. So I think that this figure is crazy at where its price is right now, but I don't really see it going that further down, possibly with some of this hype dies from the Clone Wars. But overall, this is just a really interesting figure, and this figure is just a great example of what can happen if you take a directional bet on where you think a Hot Toy is going to go. And like I said, you should, if you're just into Hot Toys to try and make money, it's not for you. You have to be passionate about it, and you have to want to collect them on your own, because you're probably going to get some Hot Toys along the way that probably aren't really going to go up that much in value. Maybe they'll go 15%, 20% over retail, but trying to just pick out the ones that you think will go up just for the pure want of making money isn't really going to pan out. But if you are buying these for your own collection because you enjoy them like I did, then you can use that to your advantage and try and be more thoughtful of which ones you want to purchase for the ones that you think are going to go up in value. Yeah. So really, I just want to talk about those three figures. Again, my name is Sixth Scale Economist, and my intention is that I'm going to be doing these videos once a week, and each week we're probably going to go through like an overall general feel of how the hot toy market feels, because some of these things really move. Like, it is something that you can really keep track of week to week. And for instance, the light side Anakin, we saw over the past 3 weeks go from probably, call it $390 to now selling for $600 on eBay in this course of like 2 or 3 weeks. So it is something that is, I find it interesting to monitor week to week. And so I think that I'm going to start this series. In addition to that, I'm also going to be going over, when Hot Toys gets announced, going over what my thoughts are, from a collector's perspective, how much I like the figure, what do I think Hot Toys did well with the figure, regarding face sculpts and whatnot, but also talking about the economic side, which I think that a lot of YouTubers don't really look at, which is just to, talk about how this figure would be for potential investment, and, where I think this figure is going to go. And if I think how much of it is, if it is a buy or if it's a pass, but more focused on the economic side of it, on what we think, and what the community is thinking about the figure. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for checking out the channel. This is Sixth Scale Economist, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.